What it do, homies? It's your boy Dave, and I'm back today. We about to look at some Metallica Disposable Heroes. Okay, now just based off that title alone, I pretty much understand what this is gonna be about. Okay, Metallica, from what I've discovered, is good at telling these stories, but most of the time they're a reflection of something that's going on in the world. Now, Disposable Heroes sounds like pretty much our military veterans, where you would send them out to fight, they come back, pretty much society, the government treat them like trash, as if they were just flushable wipes, right? So I imagine that's what this got to do. That's what this has to do with. So let's go ahead and shut up and turn it up. Disposable Heroes. My body's ready. Double notes sound like machine gun firing. It kind of sounded like a breakdown. Ooh. The drum bass pattern, insane. Yeah. Ooh, nice. Okay. Okay, all right, before we go through this, okay, of course I gotta lay down some thoughts about what I'm thinking about, right? Otherwise I'm gonna forget everything. So with the very beginning, since the song began, for some reason I've had this thought, right? Because that's why I summarized. I knew it's gonna be about the military and about our heroes. First thing I thought, and this is kind of my synopsis of how I think the song's gonna be. At the beginning, it kind of sounded like like some music that you would listen to when like you suiting up, right? You're about to go out in the war and everything. The drum pattern was stupid. Not stupid as in stupid terms, but like crazy. The drum pattern was crazy, and it was offset, and it was very interesting, right? The drum pattern almost kind of had like a cadence as well, not like it was an irregular cadence, but I like to think of that as the line up, the getting ready for war. And then when the lyrics came in and they got a switch up between, like, they started switching up the cadence. They switched up the cadence, and they also switched up the speed. I was sitting here thinking that, in the military, when soldiers are when soldiers are doing what they need to do, they're not always running at the same pace, right? Sometimes they're speeding up and then they're walking and they're speeding up. And I'm sitting here thinking about, when they put one of those GoPro cameras on like the helmets and the guns. I'm sitting here thinking about watching one running and squatting and then running and squatting. And that's what I'm getting from the different kind of changes in the tempos and the speed up. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay.
You will do what I say when I say back to the front. You will die when I say you must die back to the front. You coward, you servant, you blind man. Barking a machine gun fire, there's nothing to me now.
Got used to it.
Sounding of the clock that ticks, get used to it somehow. More a man must fight to wear. Glory seeker trends. Bodies fill the fields I see. The slaughter never ends. Program boy made a play. Now an empty shell.
When he said the clock that ticks, it was like clock on life. Like death's door. Interesting notes. Like haunting almost.
Back to the front. You will do what I say when I say back to the front. You will die when I say you must die back to the front. You coward, you servant, you blind man.
Guitar all the time. The cymbal. That's nice. Polyrhythm. Thought I heard a second guitar. Monster guitar low. Okay. Military family. Okay, hold on before we continue. Okay, I gotta get off some thoughts. Okay, like I said, gotta get them out, otherwise I'm lose them. Okay. Again, I had said before where you got kind of like the back and forth type of things that you would see like in the military is what I'm getting. I imagine that when they're doing these solos, one thing I like to keep in mind is artists do a good amount of research, I imagine, before they make the song that they make. And when you're playing musically, especially when you're improvising on like a solo, most of these things, most of the notes that you're about to play aren't written down. You know, I believe that they would do it in multiple takes and just find out which one sounds good. As long as you stay in the key, and as long as you stay in the scale, you can play pretty much anything you want. So I imagine when you're going to do an improv and when you're going to do a solo, you draw into these things, you draw into these research, and then you start playing your emotions, right? And that's what we hear. Now, with that understanding, you go and listen to the solo, you start thinking about these things. You start thinking about, all these veterans that fought for us. What are they doing now? They, like I said, the government's pretty much, disposed of them. They went in there, they sacrificed their life. Okay, you just think about that, their life. You only get one of those, man. Their life. They done made the most selfless decision that you could possibly make and go die for the freedom that we are able to enjoy right now. So you take those feelings, right? You put them in your head and you just start jamming out to them in a solo. And I think of these things, I'm gonna get something different from it, but I imagine that's what he was thinking of, right? Another thing I want to point in is that when he said life planned out before my birth. That's very interesting, right? Because I actually know a couple of cats. Who, like when I grew up, my parents was like, hey, you either going to the military or you going to college, right? And they say, you're not going to just be sitting around doing whatever you want to do. But I know some people who was just like military. And you said bred for your entire life, military. And when they say that, like planned before my birth, it's because you grew up in a military family, you moving around everywhere. You growing up, I believe between the ages of 0 and 7 is when, as a child, you are the most impressionable. So you see this, like military life. I know some people be like, oh, okay, that must be the way. And then other people are like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something a little different. But that's what that means. That's what that means to me, life planned out before my birth. Not necessarily planned out by the parents, but just based off your experiences and what you saw. This is the way of life. You know what I mean? So, okay, we'll go back.
Soldier boy made a plane, now an empty shell. 21, only son, but he served us well. Right to kill, not to care. You just
They want you to be robots.
finish down, put it down, because you take away. Back to the front. You will do what I say when I say back to the front. You will die when I say you must die back to the front. You coward, you servant, you blind man, back to the front. Back to the front. Back to the front. Back to the front. Back to the front.
Modulation. Well, they wanted to make sure they drove hard that solo, man. What a masterful ending. Now, sometimes I notice some of the smallest things, right? Right before they started their the last part of the lyrics, you could hear the kind of haunting melody going on, right? Because this is sad. And, disposable heroes is sad. This is the reality that we live in. One thing I like to think of is when I hear those back to the front lyrics, I think immediately of like drill sergeants, and I think of the government, the power that may be, and I also think of like what do you call the people that are in charge of like platoon of men, the people who issue the orders like on the field? I think of them as well. But even then, those people are usually controlled by the puppets that is the government, based off what I'm hearing from here. What was interesting is the enunciation on front, right? You can really hear that T, like back to the front. They could have said front so many ways, right? It's these little small details right there. They could have just said back to the front, but they said back to the front, like threw it out there, like back to the front, like they're saying it with anger, right? And they're using enunciation, front. It's just a hard. It's like I don't know what it is. Like it's if that word had a visual, which outside of lyrics it did, or if we could see it, it would be all caps and it would be in bold. Back to the front. Like I don't want to hear anything. Get to the front. That's what I heard. That enunciation of that T is what really got me. So it probably doesn't mean anything, but those are the type of things I pick up on for whatever random reason. So really good song. Ended on a really powerful note, man. I'm telling you, man, ever since I started this Metallica journey, sometimes it's all I think about throughout the day. It's like Metallica, or actually metal in a whole, is like this big old huge cake, right? It's big old huge cake. And then my teeth are like my music theory knowledge. And all I want to do is just keep eating and dissecting and reacting. Because I'm like, when I play a song, I'm like, oh, snaps, yo, what am I going to hear next? What am I going to think of next? And that's the type of stuff that makes me excited for making these type of videos for you guys. So I ain't going nowhere when it comes to metal, because there's so much more to dissect. And it's a nice break away from what I mostly listen to, which is hip hop and jazz. So, all right, y'all, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like and subscribe. Dave's out.